I am die cut crazy and not ashamed to admit it. I love to design with fun folds and pretty wide washi tapes and combine those two loves on the cards that I'm sharing in this video. Hello and welcome to Karen's Creative Cards on YouTube. I am Karen Hashik and this video is part of my ongoing video series I am calling Die Cut Crazy. In this video I am featuring Create A Card dies from Crealies and wide washi tapes from Altenew, along with some other favorite dies. This is the first card I was going to show you today. I am using on this card the Misty Meadows wide washi tape from Altenew. And I have put that on the front cover here, as you can see, and then when you open it up, there's the look from the top. It is a fun fold created with Crealies Create A Card number 19, and I'm going to show you how easy that is to use. This is the vertical look, so you can do it both vertically and horizontally, and I'll show you how that's done. And I did use that pretty washi tape on those strips as well. I know that you can use pattern paper, pretty pattern paper for cards such as these or any of them, but I really like the wide washi tape, both for the ease of attaching it, and also just look at the different looks that you can get by putting it on different colored papers. So I really like it on the yellow. That brightens it up beautifully, but the white is very pretty too. In this case I used a light green, and just see how those looks are so different. In this case I put it on a blue. So isn't that pretty? I'm just fascinated with that. And I even tried it on some somewhat subtle pattern paper pieces, and in this case you can kind of see those little ferns sticking up behind, and that made it very pretty as well. Like I mentioned with that die, you can do it vertically or horizontally. So this is the card that I'm going to make with you today, and on the inside this is what it looks like. So it stands up and it has these steps, and in this case I'm doing it horizontally for this card, and I use the wide washi tape that is called Teal Shadow for these cards, and I just think that's beautiful, and it's one of the new ones they just came out with. And once again, if you put it on different colored papers or backgrounds, you get different looks. So here's two different shades of blue, really pretty. Here's green. I think that's a really lovely look. Here's yellow. The white is what I chose to use on this card, and I did punch a couple butterflies out as is shown here. But I tried it on a pattern paper too, and on this card sample that I'm going to use today, I am using that kind of gingham background on there, and that again gives a totally different look. So you can get a lot of different uses and looks out of this wide washi tape. This is what the die looks like. This is the Create A Card number 19. And on their website they have templates that you can download, but I've chosen to make my own template for this card. I'll show you, see if you can see that. On the website, many of the cards they showed just used that front piece but didn't have a backing piece, but I've decided that I want a backing on there. So I've created an A2 navy card, top folding like this, and on the front I put that beautiful washi tape over white cardstock. I die cut a couple butterflies out with some Lil Inker stitch dies, and I put them back in with their wings raised just a little bit with mounting tape, and I've cut a pretty penny black border on there, so that's prepared in advance. So this is the template that I chose to create myself, and it is 7 3/4 long by 5 1/4 tall. And I mean, the piece that I'm going to use is that measurement. The template itself I made just a little bit bigger because I wanted to be able to line up the sides and also line up the center. And then you take the die and you line that die up right along that center, and you want it to be evenly spaced from top to bottom and on the sides. And then I used some temporary tape, and I taped that down, and I ran it through my die cut machine twice. And it's not that it really needs that, but I found that if you do it twice, your scored lines are scored even better. And then when you're doing your folding, it makes it just a little bit easier. And I also suggest, of course it's totally up to you and you can play around with it, but if you do decide to make one of these, the first one I made, I used a different color for this inside piece than I did on the front piece. And when you're attaching it, sometimes it just doesn't get attached straight. There's just no way to get around it, and it's not as obvious. This one is pretty straight, but if you're using the same colored cardstock, then it isn't obvious at all if you've gotten it crooked, as I did on the first one that I made. So I did run that through twice with this die, and this is the result that you get. And you're going to fold the middle piece using a good bone folder both ways. And then you want to stick your fingers in this right here, and there is a scored one there, and that comes up in a mountain, and then kind of use your fingers, and these pieces, this one here, this line here, you're going to fold, and then use your fingernails again and your fingers, and on this side you want to fold that one in a valley. So you have valley, mountain, valley, and then your center, which is going to be popped out, but these pieces are going to be down. And then you're going to repeat that over here. So stick your fingers in there, get that center one started, then use your fingernails or your fingers and fold that one there. And it's not hard. But I just wanted to show you right from the start, right from the get-go, so you could see how to do that. So then you have a piece that looks like this. I'm really liking the Teflon bone folders. They really make a difference. So I do highly suggest that, and we'll link that in my description box. So this is what you end up with. Now, many of the cards on the website were actually a little bit longer, but they just left the cards like that. But when I see a folded card that looks like this, it doesn't really appeal to me. So I decided once again to put this into a card base, and then you can do that either vertically or horizontally. But we're going to do it horizontally on this one. Now I did cut these stair step pieces out of the blue Altenew Wide Washi Tape, and the pattern does flow from one to the other, as you can see. So and I have that pretty little gingham pattern behind that. So this is the bottom one. And I numbered them just to keep them in order to make sure that I didn't, because I like it how the pattern flows from one to another. Did I do that wrong? I did, didn't I? Not a big deal, but luckily this comes off. This would be 3 or 2, starting from the top. And then we're going to glue Happy Birthday. This is a streamer die from, I'll find it, Poppy Stamps, that's what it was. I'm using my favorite fine tip bottle and glue that I buy at the Karen Burniston website. And then I want to trim that off. Happy Birthday, pretty streamer die. And now we're going to use skinny tape to attach this inside the card base. So this is our card base, and we're going to be attaching this inside. And I'm going to also use a little bit of my favorite tape runner in there. In some wider places you can do that. Sticking to my fingers. This is the bottom. I'll get that lined up to the fold and as even as possible along the sides. And then we'll roll these close the card on that. Get rid of some of the garbage. And we have a pretty card front with an inside that pops open, and says happy birthday. And then I have one more piece. I cut a pennant out, a stitched pennant that that we could sign on because I used all that navy. So you could sign your name on there. So that is the card, the first card that I created with you, with the Create a Card dies from Crealies and the pretty blue washi tape. This is the second card I'm going to create with you. I am using the pretty painted fantasy washi tape from Altenew, and this card ends up being a square card, and then you open it up and you have your 3 circles and your fun fold, which I think is really cool. Now, the samples on the website did not put any piece behind here, and you wouldn't have to, but I liked the look better when I closed it, of having that pink there, and then when you open it, it stands by itself. So, once again, using that beautiful washi tape from Altenew, and experimented with different papers. I really liked the look of it on a pink. So most of the pieces that I'm using on the card is on the pink, but on the white again is very pretty, and even on a gold with a little bit of pattern behind there. I tried a gingham on this one too, and I really liked that look, so we're going to use that on the card. And then this was on a deep red. And I guess, in my opinion, I liked the brighter, lighter ones better, but this is a pretty look too. So you could experiment if you get one and try the different colors. This is the Create a Card die that we're using today. It's the Create a Card 15, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to work with that. I have pre-cut a few things. These were some punched butterflies using an EK Success butterfly. I cut some circles out, and I used the Wonky circle die from Gina Marie Designs. So of course I could have just used plain circles, but I just love the added touch of that stitching in there, in addition to that beautiful washi tape, which is on pink paper. The side pieces, I decided again to use that gingham, so I've cut those in advance, and that's that pink piece that we're going to add, and that piece is 5 inches tall by 3 3/4 wide, and I'll show you that when we put this together. So in this case, I downloaded and printed her template right from the website, and this is the Create a Card number 15, and I have cut out the piece according to her pattern, which ends up being 10 1/4 long by 5 1/4 high. This Thinking of You, before I forget to tell you, is a Creative Expressions Mini Expressions die by Sue Wilson. I am loving all of the new Mini Expressions dies from Sue Wilson and Creative Expressions, and especially the price. Beautiful die for $3.99. So I ended up getting a bunch of them. They're perfect for so many cards, and you'll be seeing me use a lot of those. So what you do is you take the template, and the way I do it anyway is I line it up with the lines, and then I've extended her lines there a little bit so I know where I want to put my die. And the die goes on the paper up to the edge, and of course you attach it with temporary tape. And you run it through, and once again I suggest you run it through twice so your scored lines get scored really, really good. And another thing I learned with this one in particular, and also with the other one I showed you, I would not use super thick cardstock. they just end up too bulky. This one would be maybe better, but that other one in particular, I started with 110-pound cardstock and it ended up getting too bulky. So I attached temporary tape, ran it through twice, then I flipped it and I repeated it. So again, you line it up with those lines there, so the die was right there, and you cut it again. And this is what you get. And then we're going to fold down along the scored lines and then up. Now, again, some of the ones that I saw on her website did do it a little bit differently, these being folded back and these down. I decided that I liked having them all go the same. But that's what's fun about these dies, is that you can use them in many different ways. So, these scored here. And so that is the start of it. So we're simply going to attach these pieces that I have prepared with the beautiful Altenew Wide Washi Tape and the Wonky circles. And with that scalloped border, I think that looks so pretty. That's already in the die. And then these side pieces, I did again use that gingham pattern paper in the background, and I think that adds a really fun touch. And I did these, that was, let's see if I can find that while I attach it. Not sure, but it would be the same height, which is 5 1/4. Let's measure it. They were 1 inch by 5 1/4. Of course, you could do whatever you want, but I wanted mine to be, and I wanted it to be all the way to the bottom and all centered. I just added those because I thought they were just fun. And that pretty paper with the flowers on it. And then we're just going to attach this back piece. And I want it all the way up to that edge. I just think that completes the card just a bit more when it is closed. And then we have a couple butterflies to attach, and our card will be done. And I did use some of my favorite gems from Gina Marie Designs on the butterflies. So we have a card that will close and fit into a square envelope, and then when you open it, it will stand up and the recipient will see "Thinking of You" with those beautiful floral images. I had so much fun playing with the new wide washi tapes from Altenew and the Create A Card dies from Crealies, and hope you give them a try. Of course, there are links to all the products I shared in the description box. Thanks for watching, subscribing, sharing, and commenting, and thanks too for helping me share the joy of creativity.